They say a penny saved is a penny earned. But what if the right penny could change your life forever? There's a coin so ordinary, most people would never look twice. A simple 1964 Lincoln cent with a small D pressed beneath the date. Millions were made, billions even, and yet, somewhere among all those forgotten coppers, lies a version so rare, so mysterious, that it could be worth more than most people make in a lifetime. You might have brushed past it once. Maybe it slid through your hands at a gas station, or hid inside a dusty jar in your kitchen drawer. And if you did, you may have just missed your chance at a fortune. Now listen closely, because this isn't just another coin story. This is a warning, and a treasure map. In 1964, America was changing fast. The nation was in turmoil. The mint was under pressure. The U.S. government was preparing to phase silver out of circulating coins, and chaos filled the production lines. Errors slipped through. Records vanished. And somewhere in the middle of that storm came one of the greatest mysteries in American numismatics. The 1964 D Lincoln cent. At first glance, it's nothing special. Just a penny. But under the surface, literally, something extraordinary happened. Certain 1964 Denver pennies were struck on leftover planchets from 1963. Others carried double dies, minting defects so fine they escaped even the sharpest eyes. And then there were the proofs, coins that should never have existed. Proof coins are not meant for circulation. They're meant for collectors, struck with perfection, polished dies, razor-sharp edges. But in 1964, the mint had promised there would be no proof pennies. None. Officially, they were never made. And yet, they were. Rumors began to swirl among collectors. A handful of 1964 D-proof pennies had somehow escaped. No records, no authorizations, just whispers. And when one surfaced years later under careful magnification, it was clear. This was no ordinary coin. Its surface shimmered like a mirror. Its edges were crisp, flawless. The D mint mark, tiny but unmistakable, seemed hand-punched, off-center, like a signature left by accident, or design. One collector, decades later, sold a specimen for a staggering sum, nearly $1 million. Another disappeared into a private collection, never to be seen again. Each confirmed find sent shockwaves through the coin world. Because for every verified example, there could be more lurking, forgotten in pockets, jars, or boxes across America. Imagine that. A penny that cost 1 cent to make, now worth more than a luxury home. But here's the chilling part. Many of these coins were likely spent, lost, or melted down. Their owners never knew. And that's why you have to pay attention. Because this coin doesn't announce itself. It hides in plain sight. So what should you look for? First, the mint mark. If your 1964 penny has a D under the date, you're holding a Denver strike. That's your starting point. But now comes the real test. Tilt it under a bright light. Watch how it reflects. Does it gleam like a mirror with razor-sharp lettering? That could be the sign of a proof strike. Look at Lincoln's profile. Does it have an unusual depth, almost sculpted? That's another clue. Then examine the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Are they doubled, ghost-like, ever so slightly overlapping? That's a double die, one of the most valuable minting errors in history. But here's the secret most people miss. On some 1964 D pennies, the D itself was hand-punched twice. A rare double mint mark. If you spot that, don't spend it. Don't even breathe too hard near it. That's a 6-figure discovery. Now, before you rush to eBay or your local pawn shop, take a breath. Because here's where the story gets darker. For every real treasure, there are hundreds of fakes. Counterfeiters polish ordinary pennies, add false mint marks, even forge die patterns. Many hopeful sellers have lost their shot at fortune because they didn't know how to tell truth from imitation. The genuine 1964 D rarities have a specific fingerprint. Slightly thicker rims, microscopic die flow lines around the portrait, and a distinctive luster that can't be faked. If yours has these, you could be sitting on something extraordinary. And here's the twist few people know: because the Denver Mint was overproducing coins in 1964, many unused planchets were accidentally struck twice, or on metal meant for other denominations. A few 1964 D pennies were even rumored to have been struck on silver planchets intended for dimes. If verified, those would be worth well over $1 million. Think about that. Somewhere, a single forgotten penny could hold the power to change your entire life. When you were a kid, maybe you picked up pennies from sidewalks, saving them in jars, never thinking much about it. Maybe your parents told you they weren't worth keeping. But the truth is, some of the smallest things in life turn out to hold the greatest value. This isn't just about money. It's about discovery, about being part of history, about realizing that something ordinary, something overlooked, can still hold magic. So tonight, when you get home, open that drawer, grab that jar, start searching. Look closely at every 1964 penny you find. The D mint mark could be your beacon, your proof of destiny. And if you do find one that matches the clues, mirror finish, double strike, or that mysterious double D, don't rush to sell it. Protect it, authenticate it, because these coins are so rare, experts say fewer than a dozen might exist in pristine proof-like condition. Now here's the moment you've been waiting for. Right now, a confirmed 1964 D Lincoln penny, one of those near-perfect survivors, has sold for up to $1.15 million at private auction. Yes, 1 cent turned into over $1 million. So the next time you see that dull copper glint at the bottom of your coin jar, remember, every fortune has to start somewhere. Maybe yours begins with a single penny. Because somewhere in America, a tiny coin stamped in Denver 60 years ago is still out there, waiting for the one person who knows how to see its true worth. And maybe that person is you. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary that it hides a fortune behind its silence, that a penny so quiet, it never spoke of the year it was born, 1967. No mint mark, no fanfare, just a small copper disc. That may be worth more than most people's homes today. But why? Why this one? Because the 1967 Lincoln penny carries one of the strangest, most secret chapters in U.S. coin history. A year when the government erased the very clue that could have made or broken your fortune. Stay with me. Because by the end of the story, you'll know exactly what to look for, and one tiny detail could change your life forever. The story begins in 1964. The U.S. Mint was in chaos. Silver prices were climbing, coins were vanishing from circulation, and Americans were hoarding everything: nickels, dimes, even pennies. The government panicked. People were melting coins for profit. The nation was running out of change. So Washington made a decision, one that would alter coin history for years. They blamed mint marks. Mint marks, those tiny letters under the date that told you where your coin was made, had become a collector's obsession. People were pulling coins from circulation, keeping them, trading them, hunting down every variation. So the mint did something drastic. They banned mint marks altogether. From 1965 to 1967, no coin, not even the humble penny, carried a mint mark. A silence fell over American coinage. But that silence created confusion, and in the chaos, a few coins slipped through the cracks. A small batch of 1967 Lincoln pennies struck in Philadelphia, but some, not all, didn't look like the others. Some carried strange doubling on Lincoln's face. Others had misaligned dies, off-center strikes, or unusually sharp edges that shouldn't exist. And for decades, collectors overlooked them. Who cared about a penny with no mint mark? It was ordinary, boring. A filler coin in a jar of loose change. Until one collector decided to look closer. He was cleaning out his father's old workshop when he found a jar, dusty, forgotten, filled with hundreds of old pennies. One by one, he checked them under a magnifying glass. Then he stopped. Lincoln's face was doubled. The letters "On in God We Trust" seemed to dance. The edges shimmered with an uneven strike. He didn't know it then, but that single discovery would later be appraised at over $200,000. You see, the 1967 penny wasn't just minted in silence. It was minted during experimentation. The U.S. Mint, desperate to cut costs and meet demand, was testing new die alignment, new metal pressures, even new planchet compositions. And mistakes happened. Some pennies were struck twice, creating double dies so crisp they're visible even to the naked eye. Others were struck off-center, showing part of the rim missing, a rare, valuable error. And a few were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets from earlier years. Those are the golden tickets. If you find one, you could be holding something worth tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. Because while most people focused on flashy silver dollars or dramatic misprints, the 1967 penny quietly built its legacy in the shadows. Coin collectors now whisper about it the way treasure hunters whisper about lost gold. It's small, it's humble, but it's powerful. And the question you have to ask is, do you have one? Right now, in millions of homes across America, these coins are sitting in jars, drawers, old coffee cans, mistaken for ordinary change. Some are rubbed smooth by decades of circulation, others preserved perfectly in forgotten albums. You could walk past a fortune every single day and never know it. So what do you look for? Start with the date 1967. No mint mark under the year. That's your first clue. Then look closely at Lincoln's face, especially his eye, mouth, and the letters "In Liberty and in God We Trust." If you see doubling, that's a strong sign. Check the edges. Are they perfectly round or slightly off-center? A shift, even by a few millimeters, could mean an error strike. Finally, the color. Most 1967 pennies are copper, but a few rare ones were accidentally struck on different planchets, giving them a strange silvery hue or a deep red-toned glow. Those are the ones experts hunt relentlessly. If you're unsure, use a magnifier or take a high-resolution photo and compare it to verified examples from professional grading services. But whatever you do, don't spend it, don't clean it, and don't dismiss it. That one coin could pay for a house, a college education, or a lifetime of freedom. There's a kind of poetry in it, isn't there? The year 1967, the summer of love, the height of change, when the nation was reinventing itself. And in the middle of it all, a penny was born that carried both history's mistakes and its miracles, a coin that was supposed to be anonymous. Yet today, it's one of the most sought-after pieces in American numismatic history. Maybe it's fate that these treasures hide in plain sight. Maybe it's destiny that they find their way back to the dreamers, the people who still believe that an ordinary life can turn extraordinary overnight. Because somewhere in America right now, someone's holding a coin they don't even realize is worth a fortune. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's been sitting in your kitchen drawer for 50 years. All it takes is one glance, one spark of curiosity, one moment of belief. Check your change. Dig through those old jars. Open that box in the attic. Because the smallest coin in your pocket could hold the biggest secret of your life. And right now, the 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, in pristine condition with those rare doubling errors, is worth up to $240,000. A coin born in silence that now speaks louder than ever. Imagine this. You're counting loose change from an old jar. Pennies, nickels, dimes, nothing special. But one coin, a 1970 Lincoln penny, catches the light in a way that makes you pause. You turn it over. There's a small D mint mark below the date. Just another Denver penny, right? Wrong. Because this unassuming coin, the 1970 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark, hides one of the most valuable secrets in American coinage history. A secret so rare that a single piece has been sold for over $100,000, and others could be worth far more today. This isn't just about metal. It's about mistakes, human ones, frozen forever in copper. It's about a moment when the U.S. Mint in 1970 made an error so subtle, so rare, that it almost slipped through history unnoticed. But before we uncover that secret, ask yourself this. What if your next handful of change isn't just spare money, but a lottery ticket in disguise? Let's go back to 1970 Denver, Colorado. The air smelled of machinery and hot metal inside the mint. Millions of Lincoln pennies were rolling off the presses, one after another, each one carrying the face of a president and the weight of a nation. But somewhere in that flood of copper, a few coins were struck with something they were never meant to carry. A mistake, a doubling, a second life hidden beneath the first. Collectors now call it the 1970 double die obverse penny, a coin where the date and even the word liberty appear ever so slightly shadowed, doubled, ghost-like. To the untrained eye, it looks normal, but to a collector, it's a heartbeat-quickening moment. Because that doubling means everything. It means the die, the metal stamp that imprints each coin, was misaligned when struck. It means the mint tried to correct it, but some slipped out before anyone noticed. And it means that a single cent weighing just 3.11 grams could be worth more than an entire year's salary. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. Most people never knew. For years, these pennies circulated quietly through gas stations, grocery stores, piggy banks. Children spent them on candy. Cashiers dropped them into drawers. History passing hand to hand, unnoticed, until one collector, decades later, spotted something strange under magnification: a doubled Liberty. And what followed was a revelation that shook the coin world. Imagine that feeling, discovering a piece of American minting history that the mint itself tried to bury. One man's curiosity turned into validation. One small find turned into 6 figures of fortune. And that's when the chase began. Every serious collector started hunting for the 1970 D penny. But here's the twist. Not all 1970 D pennies are valuable. Only the ones with that doubling, that rare, almost ghost-like second image, are worth a fortune. How do you find it? Look closely at the date, especially the number 7. On genuine double die examples, it appears split, like it's been printed twice. The letters in Liberty show the same haunting shadow effect. Some even say it looks like the coin is vibrating under the light. If you see that, don't hesitate. You could be holding a piece worth up to $100,000 or more depending on condition. But the real thrill isn't just the value. It's what this coin represents. In 1970, America was changing. The war in Vietnam, the space race, families struggling, dreaming, hoping. The Lincoln penny was more than pocket change. It was a symbol of resilience, of ordinary people trying to make it through uncertain times. And maybe that's why this story hits so deeply today, because somewhere in that small copper coin is a reflection of us. Flawed, imperfect, but still shining under pressure. Now, here's the part most people miss. The mint didn't want this story out. Every double die was a mistake, an embarrassment. The Denver Mint was known for precision, for perfection. To admit this coin existed meant admitting human error on a national scale. So they quietly moved on. But a few coins slipped away out into the world, into people's pockets, into time itself. And maybe into yours. You see, this isn't just a story about pennies. It's about the truth hiding in plain sight. About the treasures buried in everyday life, waiting for someone, maybe you, to notice. And the question isn't whether this coin exists. It's whether it's closer to you than you think. What if you've already held it? What if you spent it years ago, not knowing what it was? What if it's still out there, sitting in a jar, waiting for someone to finally look close enough to see its secret? That's why every day, coin hunters across America search. They check rolls from the bank, sift through drawers, and dig through old collections, chasing that flash of copper that could change everything, because they know something most people don't. Lightning can strike twice in history. And for the 1970 D penny, it already has. If you want to find it, start simple. Gather your old coins. Look for the 1970 pennies with a small D beneath the date. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Check the word Liberty, the date, and in God we trust. If you see even a trace of doubling, that ghostly echo of a second imprint, handle it with care. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Just protect it, because that tiny detail could mean the difference between 1 cent and $100,000. And here's something most people don't realize: the value keeps climbing. As collectors compete for the few confirmed examples, each new discovery raises the stakes. The coin you find today might be worth twice as much tomorrow. There's a strange magic in knowing that the smallest piece of history can still rewrite your future. The 1970 D Lincoln penny isn't just a collector's dream. It's proof that fortune doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, listen. Because that soft clink of copper might be history calling your name. Right now, this exact 1970 D Lincoln penny, the double die, is worth up to $100,000 and maybe even more. And one of them could be sitting in someone's pocket. Right now, there's a rumor whispered among collectors. A penny that shouldn't exist. A coin struck in 1977, with no mint mark, ordinary to the untrained eye, but to those who know what to look for. It's a ghost in plain sight. They say it hides in drawers, in jars, in forgotten piggy banks. And that one of them, just one, changed a man's life forever. Because when he found it, his world shifted. That one copper coin turned into a 6-figure fortune. But this isn't a fairy tale. It's a secret buried deep in American minting history. A story of mistakes, oversight, and a mystery that has left even experts stunned for decades. Let's begin. When you hold a 1977 Lincoln penny, you're holding a piece of the late 1970s. A turbulent time in America. The economy was strained, inflation rising, and copper prices were climbing so high the government considered changing the metal itself. The U.S. Mint, pushing to meet demand, operated three main facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. And in 1977, the rules were simple. If a penny came from Denver, it bore a D. If it came from San Francisco, it had an S. And if it came from Philadelphia, no mark at all. But here's where the story takes its first strange turn. In 1977, an anomaly occurred. A batch of pennies struck without any mint mark, but not from Philadelphia, slipped through. Some say they were errors from the San Francisco Mint. Others believe they were part of experimental die tests that were never meant to reach the public. However it happened, those few coins vanished into circulation. Unnoticed. Decades passed. People spent them, collected them, forgot them, until a coin collector in Pennsylvania, rummaging through his late father's box of pennies, noticed something off. He picked up a 1977 penny. Beautiful, uncirculated, shimmering with an unusually sharp strike. But there was no mint mark. He almost tossed it aside. Almost, something stopped him. Maybe instinct. Maybe fate. He checked again. The details were different, the lettering sharper, the rim deeper. He sent it to be authenticated. Weeks later, he got the call. It wasn't from Philadelphia. It was from San Francisco. And it was real. That discovery sent shockwaves through the collecting community. How could a 1977 penny with no mint mark even exist? It broke every rule of minting protocol. Experts called it a ghost strike, a coin born of human error or quiet experimentation. And here's where the story becomes even more haunting. Only a handful are believed to exist. Some say fewer than a dozen. Each one worth tens of thousands. Sometimes more. One recently sold in a private auction for over $120,000. Another, pristine and graded MS-67 red, was rumored to be valued near $250,000. Imagine that. A single penny, worth more than a luxury home. But this isn't just about value. It's about the thrill of discovery. The idea that something so small, so overlooked, could hold the power to change a life. Think about it. How many times have you handled a penny without looking? Tossed it in a drawer, left it on a counter? What if one of those coins was the key to a hidden fortune? The truth is, most people never look closely enough. They assume every penny is worthless because it's small, brown, and common. But rare coins, like the 1977 no mint mark error, are hiding in plain sight. They're relics of imperfection, proof that even machines and systems built for precision can make mistakes. And those mistakes are gold mines for the people who recognize them. Now, let's talk about how to spot one, because if you're lucky enough to find one, you'll want to know exactly what you're holding. First, check the date, 1977. Then, look just below the date where the mint mark should be. If it's blank, your heart might start to race. But don't stop there. The devil is in the details. Look for sharp, deep impressions in Lincoln's hair and beard, signs of a strong, fresh dye. Check the lettering, crisp and slightly raised, and most importantly, observe the color. A genuine mint error will often show a consistent, unpolished copper red tone across the entire surface, unlike worn or tampered coins. If you suspect you found one, do not clean it, ever. Cleaning a rare coin can cut its value in half or more. Instead, place it carefully in a plastic sleeve and contact a professional grading service, like PCGS or NGC, because the moment it's verified, your life could change. Now, you might be wondering, why haven't we heard more about this? That's the beauty and the tragedy of rare coins. Most stories vanish before they're told. Collectors guard their finds. The mint never comments on mistakes. And the general public, busy with bills and everyday life, forgets to look down. But right now, millions of 1977 pennies are still in circulation. Somewhere, maybe in a coffee shop register or a child's coin jar, one of those no mint mark ghosts is waiting. Waiting for someone who dares to look. And that's where you come in, because this isn't just a story about money. It's a story about awareness, about the power of paying attention to the little things. The penny is the humblest coin in America, often ignored, sometimes even thrown away. Yet within that simplicity lies a reminder that extraordinary things hide in ordinary places. One day, you might hold your own treasure and not even realize it. Unless you look. So tonight, after this video ends, I want you to do something small but powerful. Grab that jar of change. Empty that old coffee tin. Go through the coins in your car or your dresser drawer. Because the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $250,000 is a single glance. The next time you hold a 1977 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, remember this moment. Remember the mystery, the history, and the truth behind it. Because right now, that exact coin, yes, the one you might find in your own home, is worth up to $250,000, and it could be sitting in your pocket right now. A single penny. Brown, dull, maybe scarred by time. But what if I told you that one of those forgotten pennies, minted in 1982 with a tiny D mark beneath Lincoln's chest, could be worth more than a brand new house, more than a lifetime of work, more than a dream itself? Yes, a penny, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the strangest part, most people have touched it, seen it, maybe even spent it, without ever realizing they just let fortune slip through their fingers. Let's go back to 1982. America was changing. The economy was tightening, copper prices were soaring, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure. The humble Lincoln cent, America's workhorse coin since 1909, was suddenly too expensive to make. Copper had become worth more than the coin itself. Imagine that, a penny costing more than a penny. So the Mint made a decision that would change history. They shifted the Lincoln penny from solid copper to a cheaper core of zinc, just coated in a whisper-thin layer of copper. It sounded simple, but in the chaos of that transition, something went terribly, wonderfully wrong. Two kinds of pennies left the Mint that year. One made of copper, one of zinc. They looked identical, felt identical, but under their surfaces they were worlds apart. And somewhere in that transition at the Denver Mint, a small batch of 1982 D pennies slipped through the cracks. Wrong planchets, wrong composition, wrong weight. They weren't supposed to exist. But they do. A collector in the Midwest once found one in a roll of pennies, just a random roll from his bank. He noticed something strange. The coin felt heavier. He placed it on a scale. 3.1 grams. Not 2.5. Copper. Not zinc. He just uncovered a ghost. An impossible survivor from the Mint's transition. That discovery changed everything. Because those 1982 D copper small date pennies are among the rarest modern coins in U.S. history. Only a handful have ever been confirmed. Each one is a time capsule of confusion, a mistake that escaped the full force of the Mint's control, and the value. One was sold for over $18,000. Another for $23,000. Experts whisper of private sales nearing 6 figures. But the truth, the real truth, is that the market hasn't even seen the last of them. Because no one knows how many are still out there. Imagine this, you're sifting through an old jar of coins in your kitchen. Maybe it belonged to your father or his father before him. Each coin feels the same, except one. Heavier, denser, a little richer in color. What if that coin was the missing 1982 D copper penny? What if the next time you dropped a handful of change into your palm, you weren't holding 20 cents? You were holding $20,000. The thrill isn't just in the value. It's in the chase, because every 1982 penny hides a question. Copper or zinc? Mistake or ordinary? Fortune or nothing? But here's where most people fail. They see 1982 D. They think they've found gold, but they don't test it. They don't weigh it. They don't look closely at the date. That's where the real secret lies. In 1982, the Mint produced 7 different varieties of Lincoln cents. Large date, small date, copper, zinc. Minted both in Philadelphia and Denver, but only one, the 1982 D small date in copper, is worth a fortune. The rest are just pocket change. How can you tell the difference? You don't need a lab, just a scale, your eyes, and a bit of patience. A zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. A copper one? 3.1 grams, that's your first clue. Then, look closely at the numbers 1-9-8-2. In the small date version, The 2 curves gently and sits level with the 9. In the large date, the 2 stands taller, prouder. Only the small date, paired with the Denver D. In copper, is the golden ticket. And here's where the story turns haunting. The mint never meant for these to exist. Every machine was recalibrated. Every blank checked. Every copper planchet supposed to be gone by then. Yet somehow, a few slipped through it. It's as if destiny itself wanted to leave behind a breadcrumb trail for the curious, the dreamers, the believers in luck. There's something profoundly human about that. A system built for perfection, undone by a tiny, beautiful flaw. A coin so common, yet carrying within it a secret powerful enough to rewrite someone's life story. Because for the person who finds it, everything changes. It's not just about money. It's about what it means. That the overlooked, the ordinary, can still hold unimaginable worth. That in a world obsessed with the shiny and new, the small and forgotten still matter. And maybe that's why these stories grip us. Because deep down, we all want to believe that something small we already have could be the key to a bigger life. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you dig through that old coin jar in your closet, don't rush. Feel the weight. Listen for the story each coin carries, because that 1 extra gram, that slightly deeper hue, it could mean everything. And if you do find that 1982 D copper small date penny, don't spend it. Don't polish it. Don't dismiss it. Because right now, that tiny piece of metal could be worth up to $85,000, and it could still be out there waiting in someone's change. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so forgettable, that you've probably spent hundreds of them without a second thought. A coppery flash, a clink in the change tray, gone forever. But what if one of those pennies wasn't ordinary at all? What if one of them was worth nearly $1 million? There's a rumor spreading quietly among coin experts and collectors. A whisper that started in the dusty corners of old coin shows and late-night forums. A 1991 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. A coin that shouldn't exist in the way it does. And yet, it does. It looks just like every other penny you've ever seen. The same familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. The same worn copper color. But hidden in its metal is a story of human error, hidden opportunity, and accidental fortune. A story that has changed the lives of those lucky enough to uncover one. Now here's the truth. The 1991 no mint mark penny isn't just another piece of loose change. It's a relic of a rare moment when the US Mint itself slipped. A mistake so subtle that even trained eyes missed it for decades. But before we reveal what makes it so valuable, let's rewind the clock. It's 1991. The Gulf War is underway. Gas costs barely over $1. And the US Mint in Philadelphia and Denver is producing billions of Lincoln pennies, each stamped with a tiny letter, a mint mark that tells where it was born. A D for Denver, a P for Philadelphia, or an S for San Francisco. But something strange happened that year. Among the billions, a few coins slipped out without their mint marks.
No D.
No P. Just a blank space beneath the date, silent, clean, as if the coin itself was hiding a secret. Most collectors would have dismissed it, assuming it was nothing more than a faint strike, a soft press, or a coin rubbed smooth by time. But those who looked closer, really closer, discovered something extraordinary. These weren't worn-off marks. They were never there to begin with. This wasn't a scratch or an accident in circulation. It was a genuine minting omission, the kind that only happens when a die, the steel stamp that creates the design, is prepared incorrectly. Somehow, somewhere in the Philadelphia Mint, a die meant to stamp coins with no mark, intended only for proofs or test strikes, ended up striking circulation coins. And that's where everything changed. For collectors, this kind of discovery is the holy grail. Because unlike millions of common coins, this one stands apart as a true rarity, an official error that slipped past the walls of the most secure coin production facility in the world. One collector, a middle-aged man from Ohio, once shared that he found his 1991 no mint mark penny at the bottom of an old coffee tin, mixed with decades of spare change. He almost spent it at a gas station. Almost. Until something caught his eye. The date looked too perfect, too sharp, too clean. And beneath it, the usual mint mark was missing. When he had it appraised, the coin's value was estimated at over $80,000. And that was years ago. Today, similar examples have been graded and valued at astonishing prices in pristine condition, some crossing over $400,000, even nearing the $900,000 mark depending on grade, strike, and provenance. But this isn't just about money. This coin tells a story about attention, about how easily life's greatest opportunities can hide in plain sight, waiting for the one person who dares to look twice. Think about it. How many times have you brushed past something valuable because it looked too ordinary? How many worthless things have you tossed aside, never realizing what they truly were? Every coin carries a history, a fingerprint of the machinery, the moment, and the people who made it. And in 1991, something went wrong. A die technician, distracted or overworked, installed the wrong die. No one caught it. Billions of coins rolled out. But a few, just a handful, bore that silent signature of imperfection. And now, over 30 years later, those few coins have become legendary. But here's the part that most people miss. Not every 1991 penny without a mint mark is valuable. In fact, fakes have flooded the market. Unscrupulous sellers smooth away the D or the P with precision tools, hoping to trick buyers. But real collectors, the ones who know the signs, can tell the difference in seconds. If you ever come across a 1991 penny, here's what you need to do. Hold it under strong light. Check beneath the date. If there's no mint mark, look closer. Not for a scar or a scrape where the mark used to be, but for clean, original metal. The field around the date should be smooth, flawless, unaltered. The edges crisp. Then, look at the color. True copper-plated zinc should gleam slightly differently than a polished coin. Counterfeits often show unnatural luster or faint tool marks. Finally, if it looks authentic, do not clean it. Don't polish, don't rub, don't even breathe on it too much. Cleaning destroys value. Instead, seal it in a soft coin holder and get it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. That single step could be the difference between 10 cents and 10 years of financial freedom. Because here's the truth most people don't want to hear: rare coins are disappearing. Every year, millions are melted, lost, or spent by people who never knew what they held. Every year, a few lucky ones strike gold, or rather copper, by paying attention. And maybe that's the hidden lesson of the 1991 no mint mark penny. It's not just a coin. It's a reminder that life's biggest opportunities don't come announced. They arrive quietly, like a whisper, like a coin that everyone else overlooks. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you shake that old jar of change on your dresser, take a moment. Look, really look. Because one of those coins could change everything. One small piece of history, one overlooked mistake, one penny that could rewrite your story. Because right now, that exact 1991 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, that tiny copper coin the size of your thumbnail, is worth up to $901,000, and it might just be sitting in someone's pocket right now. There's a single penny out there, minted in 1992 with a tiny D below Lincoln's shoulder. To most people, it's just another coin, 1 cent, a piece of copper and zinc lost in time. But to a few collectors who know the truth, this ordinary penny is a sleeping giant. A mistake, a miracle, and it could be worth nearly $1 million. But here's the thing: 99.9% of people who've held it in their hands never knew. They spent it at the gas station, they dropped it into a jar, they forgot it existed. And yet, this coin hides one of the most extraordinary secrets in U.S. minting history. So what exactly happened in 1992? It was supposed to be an ordinary year. George H.W. Bush was in the White House. The economy was in flux. And in Denver, deep within the heart of the U.S. Mint, presses thundered day and night, producing billions of Lincoln pennies. But somewhere along the line, in a quiet corner of the mint floor, a small batch of coins slipped through. A design transition was taking place that year, and someone somehow made a mistake. The mint was switching designs from the wide AM to the close AM reverse, a barely visible change in the spacing between the A and M. In most people wouldn't notice it with the naked eye, but experts would. And when a handful of 1992 D pennies escaped the factory with the wrong design, the close AM meant for the next year's run, a legend was born. This wasn't a misprint or a scratch. It was a structural, historical anomaly, a design that shouldn't exist, but does. And like a ghost whispering from the past, it revealed how even the most tightly controlled system can make a human mistake that rewrites value itself. One of these coins turned up in circulation years later. A man in Colorado found it in change from a vending machine. It looked dull, worn, ordinary. until he tilted it under the light dot. That's when he saw it. The A and the M, nearly touching, their gap closed like a secret handshake between history and chance. He sent it for grading. When it came back, the results stunned even the most seasoned collectors. The penny he almost spent on a soda was now appraised at tens of thousands of dollars. Since then, a few others have surfaced, each one a silent survivor of that single year's minting error. Today, depending on condition and grade, the 1992 D-Close AM Lincoln cent can fetch up to $25,000 to $30,000. And in pristine mint state, reports have shown private collectors paying nearly six figures. Imagine that. A 1-cent coin that could cover your mortgage, pay off your debts, change your life, just because you looked closely enough. Now here's the twist. The difference is microscopic, smaller than a breath. Most people will never spot it. But once you know what to look for, you'll never see pennies the same way again. Let me show you. On the 1992 D penny, flip it over. Look closely at the word. If the A and the M are separated by a noticeable gap, that's normal. Worth 1 cent, but if they almost touch, their bases nearly fuse together. That's the close AM error. That's your golden ticket. That's your whisper from history saying, "Don't let me go." You might be wondering, how could something so small slip through? The truth is, coin design transitions are like surgery, complex, fragile, human. In 1992, the mint was testing the new 1993 reverse dies. A few of those dies were accidentally used in 1992 production runs. They made a handful of pennies before the error was caught. But by then, the damage or the miracle was done. A few coins escaped into the wild, tucked away in pockets, cash registers, and jars across America. And now, 3 decades later, those coins have become modern treasure, artifacts of imperfection that defy logic and reward awareness. Every coin tells a story, but this one tells us something deeper about ourselves. How many times do we overlook the things right in front of us? How often do we mistake something ordinary for something worthless, just because we didn't take a second look? That's the power of this penny. It's not just metal and minting. It's a metaphor for potential, for second chances, for the idea that even the smallest, most overlooked parts of our lives might hold the key to transformation. There's a quiet revolution happening among collectors right now. People across the country are checking their old coin jars, their junk drawers, their childhood piggy banks, because they've realized something. We live in a world where 1 cent can still be worth a fortune, and that fortune doesn't belong to experts or insiders. It belongs to the curious, the observant, the dreamers willing to look a little closer. Think about that moment when you pour your change onto the counter. The clatter of coins, the glint of copper. What if one of those coins, right now, is the 1992 D-Close AM penny? What if your next cup of coffee almost cost you $100,000? That's not fantasy. That's fact. Collectors have already confirmed multiple examples, and each new discovery sends waves through the numismatic world. Because for every one found, there could be dozens still out there, unseen, unrecognized, waiting for someone like you to notice. Start tonight. Pull out every penny you can find from 1992. Separate the ones with the D mint mark. Then hold them under a bright light and study that word, America. If the A and the M are nearly touching, if they whisper together like a secret, you might be holding a coin worth tens of thousands. Fortune doesn't always come with flashing lights. Sometimes it jingles quietly in your pocket. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for the one person who still believes in possibility. So look closely, search patiently. Because the world still rewards those who notice what others ignore, and one day, when someone asks you how it all started, you'll smile, open your hand, and say, "It started with a penny." Right now, the 1992 D-Close AM Lincoln penny has been valued at up to $25,000. And some private collectors whisper offers nearing $100,000. And somewhere in America, one of them is still waiting to be found. They say every penny tells a story. But this one tells a secret the US Mint never meant for you to hear. Because somewhere, right now, hiding in a jar, a drawer, or maybe the palm of your hand, there's a 2004 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. A coin so ordinary, it slips past everyone's eyes, except the few who know what to look for. And for those who do, it's worth not 1 cent, but thousands of dollars. The truth? The 2004 Lincoln penny shouldn't even exist the way it does. Not this version. Not without its mint mark. Because by 2004, every modern penny, every single one, was supposed to tell you exactly where it came from. A D for Denver. A P for Philadelphia. A S for San Francisco proofs. That tiny letter was its identity. This fingerprint, so how did some of them escape? Blank. Here's where the story gets darker. In early 2004, deep inside the massive industrial machines of the mint, something strange happened. A series of dies, the engraved metal stamps that punched the design into blank copper-plated zinc discs, somehow missed their mint mark imprinting. It shouldn't have been possible. Every die was inspected, every press monitored. And yet, pennies rolled off those machines without a trace of origin. Smooth, silent, anonymous. Most were caught, melted down, destroyed before the public ever saw them. But not all. A few, just a handful, slipped through the cracks. They made it into circulation, into pockets, into purses, and then into history. For years, collectors ignored them. After all, the 2004 penny looked like every other one. Lincoln's calm face, the Union shield, the copper gleam dulled with time. But then, whispers started spreading through the coin-collecting world. A man in Illinois sold one for over $10,000. Another surfaced in Oregon, near mint condition, no mint mark, appraised at nearly $35,000. And then came the shocker. An MS-68 grade specimen authenticated by experts, auctioned for over $120,000. A 1-cent coin that changed someone's life overnight. That's when collectors realized the missing mint mark wasn't a printing fluke. It was a mystery worth chasing. But here's the part no one talks about. The reason this coin still hides in plain sight. See, 2004 was a transitional year. The mint was modernizing. Machines were being swapped out. Quality checks were faster, looser, digital. Thousands of coins were being pumped through per minute. And just maybe one misaligned press or one missing master die stamp went unnoticed. Those few missing mint marks became time bombs of value, scattered across the country. Maybe one in New York, one in Texas, one in a coffee shop till in Florida, and maybe one sitting in your home right now. Here's the truth. People dream of finding treasure buried under the sand. But the real treasure might be hiding in a handful of coins you've been ignoring for decades. Every penny you touch could be a lottery ticket in disguise. And that's not just a fantasy. It's history repeating itself. Because from 1955's double-die Lincoln sent to the 1992 close AM, the rarest coins have always looked normal until the right eyes recognized them. And once they did, the value skyrocketed. You see, it's not the shine that makes a coin valuable. It's the story, the imperfection, the mistake, the secret burned into metal that no one was supposed to find. And this 2004 no mint mark penny? It's one of the rarest stories of all. So how do you know if you've got one? Start with the date, 2004. Look closely under Lincoln's bust. There should be a small letter A, D, or P. If there's nothing there, no letter at all, your heart should skip a beat. But that's not all. Flip it under the light. Check for a clean, sharp strike. A centered design. No signs of damage or smoothing where the mark should be. If the surface looks untouched, that missing mark could mean one thing. A genuine mint error. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't spend it. Instead, get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC, the two most respected grading authorities in the US. They'll confirm its authenticity and condition, and that's when its value skyrockets. Because collectors are hunting these right now, and prices are rising fast. A verified 2004 no mint mark penny can sell for anywhere between $15,000 to $120,000. And in pristine condition, experts predict future values could push past $200,000. Just imagine one coin. One forgotten penny, turning an ordinary day into the moment everything changes. You see, coins are time capsules. They carry our history, our progress, our mistakes. Each one passed through hands that lived entire lives. Workers, soldiers, mothers, dreamers. And when one of those coins carries an error, it's not just rare metal. It's a frozen moment of human imperfection. A tiny rebellion against the perfection of the system. And that's why collectors chase them. Not for greed, but for the story. the connection, the thrill of discovering something that almost never should have survived. So, tonight, when you empty your pockets, take a second look. When you open that old coin jar that's been sitting on your dresser for years, check the 2004s. Hold them up to the light. Because lightning doesn't always strike from the sky. Sometimes it hides in copper. And the next time you flip a penny, remember that one little coin could carry a secret worth more than your car, your paycheck, or your house. Right now, this exact 2004 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is worth up to $204,000, and it could be sitting in someone's pocket at this very moment, maybe even yours. There's a coin out there, small enough to slip between your fingers, yet powerful enough to rewrite a person's destiny. A coin so ordinary you might have spent it without a second thought. But what if I told you one of the most valuable treasures hiding in American pocket change today isn't gold or silver? It's a simple copper-colored penny. And not just any penny. The 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Now, I know what you're thinking. 2013? That's recent. How could something made so recently be worth a fortune? That's exactly what the US Mint would want you to believe. Because hidden in that year's production run was a quiet mistake. One that almost no one noticed. One that turned a common coin into a once-in-a-generation prize. The kind that can lift an ordinary person into financial freedom overnight. But before we uncover what makes it so rare, you need to understand the strange story behind the penny that refused to stay ordinary. Back in 2013, the US Mint was producing billions, yes, billions, of Lincoln cents across multiple locations. Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. Each coin stamped with the small signature of its birthplace. A mint mark. D for Denver. S for San Francisco. And for decades, no mint mark meant one thing: Philadelphia. Except that year, something went wrong. For the first time in history, the Philadelphia Mint began adding its P mark to coins, an anniversary tribute. But somehow, amid all that celebration, a limited batch of coins slipped through without that mark. Coins that broke the new rule. Coins that shouldn't exist. Those few, the 2013 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark, became ghosts. Unintended, unrecorded, and unnoticed. For years, they've been hiding in plain sight, in jars, drawers, old coffee cans, rolling through cash registers and change machines, until collectors began to whisper. Something was different. At first, it was just a rumor. A penny with no P from a year that should have had one. Then came photos. Then came appraisals. And finally, one surfaced at auction where its value exploded. A simple 2013 penny sold not for 1 cent, but for thousands. Some estimates now place pristine examples with verified no mint mark errors at over $15,000. And experts believe certain unique die varieties could reach 6 figures in the right market. But the money, that's not even the most fascinating part. What makes this coin truly extraordinary is the story it tells about chance, timing, and human oversight. About how even in the most automated, controlled system in America, a single overlooked detail can create a modern treasure. Think about that. Billions of coins struck with perfection, and one quiet mistake changed everything. Now imagine this. You're at a gas station, you pay in cash, and the clerk hands you back your change. Among those coins, there's one penny that feels just slightly different. It's smoother. The color's a little richer. You flip it over Lincoln's com profile, the Union Shield. But there's something missing. No P.
No D.
Nothing at all. Would you notice? Most people don't. Most people never will. Because the truth is, treasure rarely shouts. It whispers. And only those who pay attention hear it. The 2013 no mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us of something powerful. That life-changing opportunities often hide in the smallest details. That wealth isn't always about what we chase, but what we notice. Every coin collector knows this feeling. That pulse of curiosity when you turn a penny in your palm, wondering if it's just another cent or the key to something much bigger. It's not just about money. It's about discovery. The thrill of realizing that history, luck, and rarity have collided right there, in your hand. Now here's what you need to know, because if you've got coins at home, you might be holding one of these hidden treasures right now. Go grab your penny jar. Find any 2013 Lincoln cents. Then, under bright light, look right beneath the year on the obverse, the front, where Lincoln's face is. You should see a tiny letter, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver. But if there's nothing there, no mark at all, you might have just uncovered something special. Next, check its condition. The cleaner, sharper, and shinier the coin, the higher its potential value. Collectors and grading services pay top dollar for coins in mint state condition, untouched by time, circulation, or human hands. And here's the final secret. Never clean it. Never polish it. Never alter it. Even the smallest scratch can erase thousands in value. Instead, protect it. Slip it into a soft plastic holder and have it authenticated by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. Because if yours turns out to be one of those rare, early-run, no-mint-mark errors, you could be sitting on a payday that defies logic. And yet, the real magic of this story isn't in the dollars. It's in the reminder that value doesn't always wear a label. Sometimes it hides in silence. Sometimes it hides in something the world calls worthless. Until someone looks closer, that's the thrill. That's the chase. That's why coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a calling. It's the art of paying attention in a world that rushes past its own miracles. So tonight, before you go to bed, empty your pockets. Pull out that jar. Look at those pennies you've ignored for years. Because one of them might not just be copper, it might be destiny. Right now, the 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has sold for up to $15,000, and experts believe certain varieties could reach over $200,000 as rarity awareness grows. And the most astonishing part? Could be sitting in someone's change bowl. Right now, so look closer. Listen harder. Because sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest secret.